Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. So in this 60-minute session, you'll be introduced to the advanced search concepts for searching MEDLINE on the EBSCOhost interface. So this is the new EBSCOhost interface. So in this session, we'll look at developing a complex search strategy, incorporating wildcards, proximity search operators, running free text and mesh or subject searches, and also applying available filters where appropriate as well. So we may also look at the export options as well and processing results to some degree, but mainly we'll be looking at the process of searching essentially. So for those who have not attended one of my sessions before, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO customer training services team based in the UK. So I'm a senior customer training specialist. I typically support library services, at times end users as well for the UK, Ireland, and of course in the Nordics as well. I'm a chartered librarian. I've originally worked in the NHS in England, and I've been with EBSCO now for more than 14 years. So welcome to the session. So going forward then, in terms of the objective of today's session, and I appreciate for some this is a refresher, but I hope by the end of the session you'll be able to plan an appropriate search strategy using the PICO framework on the EBSCOhost interface. And it is the new interface. Some of you have already migrated to it. Others are still waiting for the transition, which will be in July. You'll be able to perform simultaneous title and object searches on the EBSCOhost. You'll also be able to use the medical subheadings or mesh terms for authoritative search results, and also with that be able to combine the keyword free text searches with the mesh terms using the search history in MEDLINE. You will also be able to find EBSCO training resources in support assisted searching. So we have a number of different sources of information there, including our EBSCO Connect support portal. So if that's what you're expecting from this session, again, it may be a refresher for you. Some may have been on the session a few months ago, but there have been more changes to the interface. I will introduce you to some more today as well that have recently went live as well. Okay, so moving forward then, in terms of some initial considerations, when we're looking at the searching of the literature that we're doing, there are a number of things that we have to consider, of course. Why am I searching? What is the purpose of the search? What's it in support of, etc. It could be in support of a nurse, an assignment, a doctor's report, whatever it might be. But why am I searching? What am I looking for? What am I searching? What kind of content coverage am I expecting to, find, etc. And also, how am I searching? Which resources should we be using? What limitations should we factor into our search? And of course, we are looking at MEDLINE in this session today. So there are also different types of searches. Again, you can verify that with your own experience as librarians, library staff members, supporting, doctors, nursing staff, allied health professionals, even students, etc., in support of their work and so on. So it could be a simple lookup. You may be seeking to identify one or a small number of research articles that meet a narrow set of criteria, be even in support of a critical appraisal club, for example. Exploratory, you might want to learn about a concept or body of research, including its characteristics, the terms used, the volume of evidence, the type of research. So it could be a general scoping search, for example, but it could be more systematic. And this is kind of where we're going to focus on today, where you want to identify all records, or you might say the majority of records on a specific topic through an unbiased, transparent, and reproducible search. And of course, you'll need to report on those findings as well. And that could be a systematic review, it could be a meta-analysis, or something more general than that. So we look at systematic literature searching essentially, which may or may not include systematic reviews. So in terms of approaching the search then, with those aforementioned points taken into consideration, then we need to consider what is the research question, understand the research question or the topic that we're seeking to find the evidence for or information on. Choose the framework that's appropriate for this search. So again, there are numerous frameworks out there. I will introduce you to some more today, such as PICO, of course, commonly used clinical framework, Cocoa Spice. So there's some non-clinical frameworks as well. Okay, so again, this is a way to structure your search. And of course, you would then devise an appropriate search strategy to search. And that means including the following factors. So identifying synonyms for your free text terms, related terms for each concept. You'll be searching each concept one at a time, line by line, essentially. So it could include title abstract searching or general unqualified search, combined with the subject search, the mesh search in this case for MEDLINE. Then you might want to factor in the wildcards and also proximity or precision operators that we have available through the EBSCOhost platform. And ultimately, you'll be combining the sets using the Boolean operators, Boolean logic, and or and possibly not as well in some instances. So with that in view, we do have a research question that we want to answer today. So we want to find evidence in relation to this topic, and we'll use this as the live example when we go through the demonstration. So for patients 65 years old and older, how does the use of an influenza vaccine compared to not receiving the vaccine influence the risk of developing pneumonia during flu season? Now, we're probably moving away from flu season by now, but we're still looking at this topic, and we have, of course, a age group. We've got patients, it could be male or female, 65 years and older. There's the use of influenza vaccine or compared to not receiving the vaccine. And then pneumonia, of course, is also highlighted as is flu season. So I've obviously, identified the key concepts in relation to this research question, which means that we then have terms to work with to create our search strategy. So before we do that, I just want to introduce you some more frameworks here that you could be using. So although you're using PICO today, you may want to decide to use others. For example, you've got PICO there, which includes exposure, comparison, and outcome, as opposed to intervention for PICO. There's PICOT, which has the context. There's PICOT, which we'll look at, which includes the time element. There's also SPICE and SPIDER. So Andrew Booth et al., based at Shire in Sheffield, the University of Sheffield, identified 38 variants of various frameworks that can be used to create a viable search strategy. So that can be in relation to various topics. So again, you want to explore this PDF, this article, to determine which would probably work better for you in relation to the searches that you're performing. And it may vary from time to time. PICO will be the commonly used clinical framework, and there are variations, as you can see, of PICO plus additional ones for certain subject areas, and some of them may be more non-clinical related topics as well. So basically choose your framework. Again, we're going to go with PICOT, or a version of PICO with the time element. So we have the 5 elements there designated, and you see the primary focus is typically the population or intervention, but we've got comparison, outcome, and possibly time as well. So with the population, of course, we are looking at older people. Doesn't mention gender, but age 65 plus. So we've got aged, elderly, older person, older people, old, even for that age group in terms of the freetext terms. Below that, we have the equivalent mesh terms, so age 65 plus, age 18 over, etc. Because age 65 plus would also pick up that age group as well. So again, they're mesh terms. Intervention, influenza vaccine, of course, is the topic or the concept. That could be rendered influenza vaccine, could be flu vaccine, flu vaccination, and the mesh term influenza vaccines. Now, of course, we don't necessarily know when we start off searching what are the equivalent mesh terms. We do have a new feature in the EBSCOhost interface which allows you to do that. Others may be using tools like PubMiner to find those mesh terms, the mesh database for PubMed. But again, there may be other sources for you to identify those. And it may be that you'll start off looking at the subject search initially, which will then lend itself to identifying the concepts, the freetext terms that you could be using. So again, there are some institutions that would start off with the subject search, then move to title object searching or an unqualified keyword search. I'm going to do it the other way around, as I typically do, but again, it may be preferable for you to reverse the order, as it were. Comparison, there's no comparison rates, there's no vaccine. Outcome, of course, there's the risk of developing pneumonia if you don't have the vaccine, etc. So you've got pneumonia, pneumonitis, pulmonary inflammation, various synonyms there. And also we've got the mesh terms, pneumonia and pulmonary inflammation. And then there's the time, which is flu season. So we may not actually search for that specifically. So we are going to look primarily at those 3 elements: the population, the intervention, and the outcome. So just a starting point there. Now, before we get into the live demonstration, a few more things to introduce you to remind you of in terms of the initial searching, the title abstract searching on MEDLINE, and also for CINAHL and other databases for EBSCOhost, we have the XB title abstract field code. So you can now search simultaneously for terms as they appear in the title or abstract fields of a given item indexed in MEDLINE in this context. And although you can select it from the drop-down menu, you can also use the command line query. Once you're familiar with the field codes, XB, in this example, gallbladder dysfunction or gallbladder disease. So we'll look for those terms as they appear in any or both of those fields. So it is or. Of course, you've got the mesh headings as well included. So you can see this is highlighted on this page. So mesh 2026 headings. So you can click on that link within the advanced search page and it will open up the option to browse the index. So you can enter your terms, so flu vaccine here. and then that will be mapped to the appropriate term, influenza vaccines. There are also subheadings which you can select from as well if you want to focus the subject search also. So it's just a reminder of how you use the mesh terms. And then, of course, once you've selected the heading or the headings, you can then add that to the search. It would add the equivalent mesh search to the search box, and you can run that and retrieve results based on the indexing through MEDLINE provided by the National Library of Medicine. Now, we do have a new feature, a relatively new feature that was added some weeks ago, and that is the option to use suggest subject terms. So you may be familiar with it from the EBSCOhost Classic interface. So you'll see here, note now that this option has been moved. It's no longer above the search box, it's at the bottom there. So I can just see that highlighted here and it's selected. So that option can be enabled. It can be enabled on or off. In this example, so the box is already ticked. So when we search for flu vaccine with suggested terms selected, then the search button on the right is then changed to suggest terms. And when you click that, it will map you to the appropriate concept, the mesh term within the indexing. Okay, so again, it's one way you could check the preferred mesh term, but it also means that you can then quickly add the mesh search to your search strategy as well. So again, it's now below the third row, as it were, but it can be enabled on or off by default. I think in most institutions will probably disable that, so it's at least showing but not on by default. If it's on by default, it just means that whenever a user enters their keyword search and they click suggest terms, it will take you straight to the list of terms provided by the National Library of Medicine for MEDLINE. So we're looking at in practice. Again, you see the example there. Click suggest terms and it'll direct you to the appropriate mesh heading, and you can then select that as shown here. So add to search. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction to the title object searching, the use of the mesh terms, and also a reminder that we do have numerous wildcards that you can also apply in MEDLINE. Probably the most common one would be the asterisk for truncating terms. So if you're looking for physiology, physiology is physiological, then you can put the asterisk after the L and find those variations. Of course, if you put it after the O, you'd also find physiotherapy, physiotherapists, and so on. You can also use truncation between terms. So if you're looking for ventilator pneumonia, ventilator-acquired pneumonia, and ventilator-associated pneumonia, then simply place the asterisk between ventilator and pneumonia, and you'll find all three variations. For exact phrase searching, you can use the double quotation marks. So you would find at least one occurrence of the exact phrase, in this case, influenza vaccine, in the record retrieved from your search. The question mark wildcard is used to replace a single unknown character. So if you're looking for organization with an S or a Z, you can use the question mark for both letters, both consonants, or if you're looking for woman or women, you can replace the L's, A, and E with the question mark. Alternate spelling, we have the hash wildcard. So for pediatrics, you can insert the hash wildcard before the E, after the P for both variations, and also for color, behavior, etc. Put the hash wildcard after the O before the R. You can also combine the hash wildcard with truncation. So for pediatrics and pediatricians, etc., you can use it in that fashion. There is another option here, probably not so well known or widely used. That is the means to find words with exactly one character at the end. So hash question mark at the end of monkey would find monkeys, not monkey. So again, you can use that as you feel necessary. So just some examples of wildcards that are available that can be used within the platform. We also have, of course, proximity search operators or precision search operators. And for the EBSCOhost interface, it's true of Classic, it's true to now with the new user interface, we have near and within. So near finds terms regardless of the order in which they appear. So if you enter gallbladder N2 dysfunction, then you would find gallbladder near 2 words less of dysfunction, or dysfunctional in this case because of truncated dysfunction, and also dysfunctional within 2 words or less of gallbladder. So regardless of the words, in any order essentially. Then within is related to the order in which you enter terms using the same search. You would, if you search for gallbladder dysfunction, then gallbladder within 2 words less of dysfunction, but it would not retrieve dysfunction or dysfunctional if you truncate it again within 2 words less of gallbladder. So it's the order in which you enter them. And modal terms can be used, of course, on either side of the operator. So if you're looking at heart attack or myocardial infarction in the context of statins, then you can use parentheses for hardtech or myocardial function, and for statins. So statins could be before or after those terms. Okay, so here's some examples there. Now more we can provide if needed. Okay, so you may be already familiar with those. Okay, so what we're going to do now is spend the lion's share of the time on the demonstration, going through that search question, applying some of these features that you've seen today in this brief introduction. Again, a number of you have seen these before, so I apologize if it's repeating myself, but hopefully it's a bit of a refresher. And as I said, there's some features that I'll point out that are new as well. So I'm going to go now to my desktop. So in a moment, you should see the advanced search screen. There's the landing page here, and we'll run the search on this platform. So we've got the new interface here. Again, some of you may be already using this, so we'd like to hear from any feedback that any experience you've had. You can see we've got the multiple rows here. You can add up to 12, in fact, in total. So if you prefer to enter terms line by line, you can use the Boolean logic to combine the operators there. We have the suggested terms, which is defaulted to off here. Note there's a little help button there. If you click on that, it will just give you what it's actually doing. So it's quite useful for the end user. If they're not so familiar with this feature, then it will tell you that they will, EBSCOhost will search the subject terms authority file with your keywords and suggest subject terms you can add to your search. Okay, so again, it could be a useful lookup tool simply to find the equivalent mesh term when you're searching, etc. So we've got the fields obviously there, all fields. So we do have database help files available which detail what that covers. We have the title object field code here, XB, which we'll be using. And then below that, we have also the search options. So search options, this determines how you're searching, particularly with keyword searching and particularly with unqualified keyword searches. So proximity is the default search mode, typically for EBSCOhost databases, including MEDLINE. And that is using the near operator. So you're searching for words near 5 words or less of each other. So if you enter terms here and do not qualify by field code, that will impact your search. Okay, find all is simply the AND operator, find any is OR, and we have others there which we won't go into detail today, but we do have the context sensitive help menu for more information, both for the search modes and also the expanders that are applied as well. So some of these we cover in other sessions. So what I'm going to do now is just run this search that we saw earlier. So we're going to do this now with title object searching. So I'm going to begin with the age group, of course, which is aged, etc. So I'll put in age as a keyword, use the Boolean or. Generally speaking, we advise putting the and or not operators in these search lines, in these rows, in uppercase to avoid any confusion with stop words. You can mandate that in EBSCO admin, but as a rule, we'd advise generally using the or and or not operators in uppercase, as shown here. Okay, so not the terms of sound. So elder could be elderly, etc. Or older people, double quotation marks again for exact phrase searching, etc. Or old. Okay, and I could even put older and truncate that too. Okay, so we're searching for these keywords, these synonyms within the title object field within MEDLINE. Okay, so I click search here. In a moment, you should see that search string appearing in the search history below, as shown here. So we have the advanced search page, the default landing page, and we have the advanced search results list shown, which means that you have the search history shown. Now, I know some of you may not have this appearing right now. It simply just needs to be enabled for you within our EBSCO Experience Manager tool. So we can talk more about that offline as needed. So we didn't mandate this when this was released late last October. We didn't mandate this except for some of you in the NHS, maybe the HSC in Ireland, but we didn't mandate this because this is something which you may want to decide whether you want that on or off, as it were. Of course, the NHS have not yet transitioned to the new interface, so it'll be for those who are trying this, working, looking at this to feedback, etc. So right now, you can see we've got the set number identified S1, we've got the field code and the search terms indicated with the truncation, etc. The Boolean operator is shown. The search options still appear, although they're overridden by use of the field code. So again, they are just designated. So if you do an unqualified search, you can also report the fact that proximity search was used and apply with subjects, which is a concept mapping system, which will map your search terms to the appropriate subject heading. So it's just now another way of expanding your search. But again, there's more information on this feature. the results, and you'll see here now, this is now hyperlinked. So what that means is that although we're only viewing one set at the moment, it means during when you're looking at results in the search history, you can click on any of these result sets and look specifically at the results shown for that search set. Okay, we'll see more of that in a moment, but these are now hyperlinked. We have the database designated, and we also now have this save ribbon, which means you can save a line of a search. So again, this is a new feature, and I'll again remind you of that later. And we've got the kebab menu or the tools menu, which allows you to edit the search details, add to project, or delete. So if you wanted to add something else to this search, you go to edit search here, go into edit search, and then you can make changes here as well. Okay. So again, we can make a change here. So if we put in, in fact, maybe I'll change another one later on, but I'm just going to update that, but it's not changed, but just go through the steps there. Okay. So that allows you to enter, edit line by line. So we're going to move on to the next element, which is the equivalent mesh search for that age group. So what I'm going to do here is go to, initially I'm going to go to the, let's see, actually, let's show you a suggest subject term. So if I put in the age here, for example, right now, then I can select suggest subject terms. Again, there's a button there, click suggest terms, and you'll see it's mapped to the term aged, as we would expect. Okay, I can click through to the term. I can of course select it, but you can see it's referring directly to a person 65 years of age or older. So this is exactly what we're looking for. It's used for elderly. Okay, introduced 1966, etc. And then you can see the subject tree. So also it comes under the adult subject mesh term age groups of persons. So it's quite specific. If of course we're looking at the age 18 over, then we would also include this group as well. And we can, since this is now set to explode, it's going to include age 18 over. So anyone age 65 plus, it's going to include. If it was more specific than that, and it was age 18 over, then we would just select this term instead. Okay, so again, I'm going to select this one to explode it. Okay, so again, I'm just going to do that again. So that's the age group. Obviously, not looking at middle-aged or young adult there. And I'll go to the top of the screen and I'll add this to the search. In fact, let me just clear that again, and I'll do this again, and then add the search. Yeah, so we've got this exploded, so it would include the age 80 plus age group, and we run the search. So now it's going to retrieve any item, any article indexed in MEDLINE, which features references to that age group. So now what we can do here is combine the two into one set, as it were. So we can select both sets, choose combine with or. You'll see the sets appear at the top search box, and then click search. So we're grouping the age group together, so the equivalent title search with the mesh search in one set. And again, to note, in the search history, you'll see each of the results, so they're in the millions, are hyperlinked, so you can jump to any one of these sets and view that in context. What it does, so for example, I went to the mesh search, click that link, it would bring back the results set, but it would not add another line. Previously, it would add another line. It doesn't do that now, but it means you can focus on a certain result set if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the current result set, which is this one. Okay. And another thing you can do is, of course, resort the search history. So we've got S321 right now. If you click the ID link above, you can resort into S123. Okay. So obviously we're looking at this age group in relation to influenza vaccine. So this time I'm going to add some more keywords here. So I'm going to put in parentheses flu or influenza, and I'll put N3 vaccine, and I'm going to truncate vaccine to include vaccine, vaccines, vaccinated, vaccinations, etc. Okay, as shown here, and I choose the title abstract field code and click search. Okay, again, any questions, comments, or feedback on any of this, please do share it in the Teams chat. I can unmute you if you prefer as well. Just select the raised hand icon, and I can unmute you as needed. So we've got S4 now, which relates to flu influenza vaccine. Okay, again, you see the hyperlinked results list. This is all new features, functionality. Again, the save ribbon is available for each set. You can literally save one set at a time if you need to. Okay, and you can also do the same. If I select these sets, you can also do the same for the search history as well. You can select it here and save. Okay, so we'll see more about that as we go through this. The next of course, is the mesh term. So again, you can just go to the MEDLINE mesh 2026 headings if you prefer, rather than use suggested terms. Clear that, clear this, and then you can put in flu vaccine, for example, and then search here. So there are numerous ways to get to the subject index term. And again, you'll see here we're prompted to use influenza vaccines. That's the NLM mesh term. So click on that link, and you see the scope note. You see what it's used for. So essentially, if you search for any of these keywords here, it's going to map you to this, browse these keywords within the mesh index. It's going to direct you to this term. And if you scroll down, you'll see we have influenza vaccines. Okay, it's a single-use term. Major concept simply means that you're retrieving articles where that is the primary focus. So you see a major concept there. There's no explode option, but you do have the subheadings. So if you want to look at administration and dosage specifically, there's a scope note to detail what that's about, or if it's adverse effects. So depending on the nature of the search, we talked about that earlier, we are looking at more systematic search, so we may keep it quite broad initially, but you can focus your subject search, your mesh term search, based on these categories as well, these subheadings, if you need to. So all included by default. So click add to search, and then you see we've got the syntax here. MH indicates it's a exact mesh heading or subject heading, and you can verify that through the drop-down menu, because you also see here MH is also listed here as an exact subject heading. So basically it's a mesh term, and there's no explode term, no explode symbol, so we know this is a single-use term. We click search, and it'll run the search to retrieve records indexed with that heading. So again, we can combine the two sets, S4, S5, with a Boolean OR, and then search to retrieve results in one set. Okay, so again, you see S6 now appears. So the final thing we'll do, of course, is look at the pneumonia-related top areas. So what we're going to do now is just run the keyword search. So I'm going to go to the top of the search box and then begin to run this. So we've got pneumonia or pneumonitis. So what we can do here is truncate this. Okay. We've also got all pulmonary. I'll do it in pulmonary or lung, and I'll put inflammation. Could even truncate that's inflamed as well. Okay, so we can run the search, title that field again, and then click search here. So that disappears. By the way, the clear find field after searching is on for this demonstration site. So that means my search terms disappear from here. Again, there's some debate as to whether that's useful or not. I generally find it's helpful, because if you're starting to combine search strings, when they're combined at the top here, they do get confused with the previous search, just if it's sticking. So again, I like to have a clear screen here. So we've got that term there. Okay, with the results shown. Again, we're still on the same database, MEDLINE. We've got the tools menu if we wish to edit the search in any way. Again, you can do it for any of these, and you can now also edit combined search queries as well. So you can go in and edit the combined set if there's some error there. And I've had instances where I've added or selected and by mistake, and I could go in and change the or. So for example, if S6, if I had inadvertently put S4 and S5, I could go in here to edit the search, to edit search, and I would just replace, if and was here, I'd add or instead. Okay, you see the dependent searches are listed detailed below as well. So it's now possible to edit combined search queries. It wasn't before till recently. So we're now going to look at the equivalent mesh term for pneumonia, etc. So again, we can do this in a number of different ways. One thing to note is here, and we explored this recently in the session, was that it will most likely pick up alternative terms as well if you enter more than one. So for example, if I type in here pneumonia, right? Or pulmonary inflammation. Let's do that for now. I'm going to try this out again. I know it worked before. If I then use suggest terms, suggest subject terms, again, you see the button changes to suggest terms. If I click search here, you'll see here it's got pneumonia, and obviously it's exploded. That would include other terms, so I can include that other terms. And I'm looking for, I've got information there. But it does bring out other terms. You've got lung there, of course, which is quite a broad term. So just experimenting here with this. Obviously, you can go into terms and look at what else there might be that could be useful, etc. Okay, so again, you can see here pulmonary, whatever that is. Okay, what is characterized by, etc. So again, you can look at other things, interstitial lung diseases, etc. Okay, so again, some of these you may want to use, but otherwise you click on the main term and you'll see it selected here, and you can see here it's actually used for pulmonary inflammation. Okay, so it is possible to explore the sort of index using suggested terms with multiple terms, and you'll find sometimes it will bring out other terms that you can select at the same time simultaneously. Okay, then you can see here where pneumonia does include bronchopneumonia as well, etc. as well. Okay, so there's others there you might want to select if you need to. Okay, again, diseases, okay, lung diseases and so on. And you'll notice that the term appears more than once in the hierarchy. It just simply means it kind of sits within different aspects or areas of the hierarchy. So here's diseases, etc. Or specifically, if we go back, respiratory tract diseases, and it will also appear under, let's see, again, it appears in different parts of the hierarchy, essentially. So if I just go add to search here, you see MH again, it's the exact subject heading, it's pneumonia, and the plus sign indicates it's been exploded to include other terms as well. And we'll click search here. So once we've done that, we'll then combine the two. So S7, S8, related to pneumonia, etc., combined with or. Again, if you do not have clear find field after searching, it will then add this combined set with the previous search. So again, it's something to consider if you have the term still staying here, otherwise you have to clear it manually and then click search here. Okay, so yes, a question from Colleen. Can the default explode option be turned off at an institutional level? Yes, you can. So the explode option, which I've got on by default here, can be turned off in EBSCO Experience Manager. So yes, you can do that. It's not mandated that you have it on as I do, but it can be switched off. Yeah, that's correct. So again, it's for you to decide, is that going to be useful to the user or not? You could have different profiles, of course, in which case it could be on for one and not for the other. So again, that is something which you can manage, essentially. So if you're part of a consortia, it would also be agreed at a national level, whether it's the NHS or whether it's HSC, etc., or some other regional network, etc. Okay, so that's now the sets combined, and no doubt probably as I do, generally you kind of want to see this in sequence. So what I'll do, click ID, and then you see the order for this search strategy. So we've got S3, which relates to the patient group, which is those age 65 plus, the older people. We've got the intervention, the flu vaccine, etc., and the equivalent mesh terms, and also the risk of developing pneumonia, etc., related terms for S9. So a combination of title searching with the mesh search, and now we're going to group those three sets together using the Boolean AND. So click combine with AND. You see the sets appearing above. Again, if you made a mistake with combine with or, you can go in and change it via the set edit option. Again, each of these has edit options there. And then we'll click search here to run that combined search. Okay, so now you'll see that appearing below. Okay, so we've got 2,000 records again. So those the final result set will appear in the result list. But if you wanted to jump back, for example, to look at the combined influenza sets, then which is S6, you can click on the link there to that number, 41,000 records, and you could go and specifically look at those records. Again, you may want to explore the other mesh terms, concepts that are used, etc. So you can jump between sets. Again, there's no danger now of it rerunning another line of search. You're still in your original search, but you're just exploring different set elements, numbers, etc. So again, you would just go back to the equivalent set for the final set to click on that link there to the hit count, and it will take you back to the original result set here. Okay, now we may want to filter it further as well. So we've got over 2,000 records. We may do it by language, by publication date. So for example, if we are looking at a specific date range, then we can go to all dates here. We do have obviously the past 12 months, 5 years or 10 years, or if you can be quite specific, then the date range here. For example, if we're going to do the last 4 years, I'll have a stab at this. So 2022 to 2026, as opposed to 5 years, then I'm going to enter my terms if I get this correctly. 2, 6, yeah, and then apply. Okay, so I've not tried this date range for the search before, but here we go, 904 records, and you'll see here it does indicate it's from January 2022 to December 2026. Now, of course, we're nowhere near December 2026. That's just by default. So basically, the beginning date is always from January the 1st of that year, and the end date is December. Of course, we're now in at the end of May. But again, it's 4 years as opposed to 5 years. So again, you can use that specifically. Obviously, you can also specify if you want academic journals only. There's some guidelines here too. So again, you can filter that. But you've also got under all filters, additional ones, including English language here, and also age group. Now, age group, again, is based on the indexing from, within MEDLINE. So you've got, again, age 65, we know that we saw that from the original search. We did include this. So again, when you use the filters here, they can potentially be useful, but remember they are based on the mesh indexing, not on the keyword searching. So you'll see here, you'll get less records appearing because some of the content that we're seeing now may not be fully indexed, would not have been assigned headings. So in other words, by using a combination of keyword searching and mesh searching, we're going to find more literature. If we rely solely on the mesh term, we're only relying on content that's fully indexed, not anything that's in process or ahead of print, etc. So we may see some records like this. Again, we've got other filters there as well that you could use, but we've got to actually go back to put it on English again. So English language only. So there is for the HTML full text articles, there is machine translation. So if you do not filter by English language and you come across a full text article in HTML, then you can translate that using the machine translation software. So you may want to just opt to go for those that have abstracts as opposed to full text only, or you may not even limit by English language. In any case, once you've applied certain limiters, you'll see they are also included in the search history. So S11 has the 4 years publication date. S12, we've also factored now English language. They're included here. As I mentioned, you can also save this set. So for example, you can select these and click the save ribbon, and that set is now saved. If we go to the save folder on the left-hand column, you'll see the save searches tab, and you'll see the set here is saved. Now, let me just see, let me just go here. Let me go to notice here. Yeah, so what I've got here, interesting. I think it's maybe where I've been playing with this before, but yeah, okay. So so just to clarify this, actually in here, you can unsave things, by the way. You can click on unsave here and they're gone. Okay, so you can clear that quite quickly. If we go back to our search, okay. Open up the search history again. So again, you see it's switched back to the reverse chronological order. Just click ID and resort. So again, you can select these save these, go to saved and searches, and you'll see we've got the results set there, 875. It's the final set that we identified, okay, just there. Now, another thing you can do, which is new, is the option to delete as well, because this was not available initially, perhaps surprisingly, but it is now. So, for example, you can see here, you can select and delete the search history in its entirety, okay? Or you may just go in, for example, and select a set. You can do that line by line, of course, but if there's a couple of sets that you want to remove, I'm not going to do this now, but if you wanted to remove, for example, S4 and S5, for whatever reason, if you click delete, it will ask you if you want to do that, and you're only deleting those two sets, okay? So in a sense, if you end up with a 0 in certain areas, then you could delete those, or you could simply go in and edit them as well, okay? So a number of things that you can do there with the results. Obviously, once you've got the results below, you can check the records for any key terms that you may have missed. Obviously, this item here is a systematic review, very useful, and it's current, May 2026. And it's also been fully indexed as well. So you can see the subheadings listed. You can click show more to view the abstract, to explore that for more terms, to see its relevance. We do have this other feature more like this as well, which is the recommendations feature. If you click on that, it's using the EBSCOhost scholarly graph based on the metadata we have, and it'll prompt you to look at other articles which could be potentially useful. Okay, and it's basically 5 of them. It suggests 5 potential articles that may be of interest, and you'll find in some cases they're available full text as well. You can view the publication details, so you view details there, and you can scroll to the next one. And notice you can also indicate if this recommendation was helpful or not. Okay, so you can go through those. There's also a save ribbon as well, so you can save these in addition to the results that you originally found in your search. So there's more options there. We also have the cited by tool as well. So this one was cited by 2 other articles. Let's say this is only by 1. You might find there's some more cited elsewhere. Only by 1. Yeah, so maybe not 2. This one's by 3. So you'll just click on the link there, the button there, and it will give you the list of references that are citing this article. And again, you go in and save them. You can check in if any of them are full text, if you want to check the actual article, and you can also verify if they are indexed in MEDLINE as well. Okay, so again, you can use those options and you can sort them. So if you want to look at the most recent item that cited that article, you can see them listed in that order. So this one's 2026, of course, from February, March there as well. Again, you've got access options as well. So you want to explore the full text, you can do that here. Just going to go to the top there. This one is not available. Obviously, if you have MEDLINE Complete, MEDLINE Ultimate, you may find some of these articles are available full text. This one is, so you can see access options here. You have the PDF article available, so the native copy electronically reproduced. And you'll see the tools on the right there to save this item. You have the double quotation marks for the cite tool, which means you can choose the cite style and copy it to the clipboard. You can also do direct export into reference, for example, EndNote, RIS format, and so on. Also to show the share option now. So this was enhanced recently, so you can share via Google Drive, OneDrive, or create the link to this article. But you also have the email option. And when PDF and online full text is available, you can include those as an attachment. You can enter your email address, and you have 3 options for the preferred display: the brief citation, which you can include the abstract with, or the detailed citation, which gives you more fields to choose from in terms of what you see when you receive this in your inbox, etc. So different fields there. And finally, the default citation styles, you can change it to whichever will be more appropriate for yourselves and send via this menu. Download option is there as well. You can download it. You can download the full text, of course, and also if the metadata only in PDF, Word, etc., BibText as needed as well. And you can also explore the publication contents for PDF articles. You can look at other articles within the same publication, and also the text-to-speech software is available to listen to this being read. If you don't have time to read it, you can listen to it either online or offline via the MP3 download as well. There is also accessibility support. So again, it might offer an alternative format for this article, especially in relation to accessibility issues. There's typically a 3 to 5 business day response time to this, but you'll notice here this one has Word as an option as well. So as opposed to PDF and HTML only, you can also have this made available in Word. Okay, just to make the article more accessible to users, etc. And I'll just briefly look at the other one. So the other option was, of course, HTML. So again, online full text. And this one, in addition to the other tools that you saw, it has the machine translation. So for example, you can change this to Welsh if you wish, and it will render it in Welsh from English. And of course, you can go back to English when you need to as well. Or if it's another language, you can choose the appropriate translation. Now, the text-to-speech software will only work with English, by the way. It won't, you can't download MP3 in Welsh, as it were. Okay, but again, you see the translation is provided by Microsoft. It's machine translation, but you can go back to the original language. Obviously, if you're a native speaker, you can verify the accuracy of that language translation. Again, text-to-speech software, got more options for HTML or online full text. That includes the word color, sentence color for text highlighting there as well. Okay. So again, some options there to explore. If we go back, just briefly touch on some of the elements for processing, as it were. So again, you'll see here we've got options to save or bookmark relevant articles. You can do that for 1 or 2. You can do that for a complete list. So at the moment, it's up to 50. That's going to change to about 500 next month, I believe it is. So that's coming, or July. So that's coming soon. So you'll be able to save a lot more records than you can currently. 50 is the maximum at the moment. Please note, though, sometimes you might find you're configured to show only 10 records or 20. And that depends on the preference for the speed of uploading. Obviously, the more records that are displayed, the slower the speed for them to display. So sometimes you'll have accounts. Some of you may be in this position. You're only showing 10 articles per page, and that's to improve the speed of loading of pages, etc. Okay. You can also download them here as well. So once you do that, you can download in choice of formats, including Word as well. And also you can share via the share menu there, which means, again, Google Drive, OneDrive, and also the email option with the different display options that you have as well. The site tool, if preferred, you can use the site tool to do a direct export for these articles. Again, you can use RIS formats or RefWorks, etc. Otherwise, we do have the export option here. So you can export up to 25,000 records in one sitting. It does require you to sign in here. Okay, so you do need to sign into a personal EBSCO account. You'd sign in here and then either create the account if you need to, or log in as a personal user with your account already. And we support Google sign in as well. So add your name, your email address, or surname, sorry, is not needed. Email address, and then you create your password, note the criteria for that, agree to the consent form, and then create the account. And once you have that, you can then sign in and go into it. Okay, that means you can then export the records. You get this form appear on screen. Note there's an upper limit of 100,000 records in a 24-hour period, but the maximum per session is 25,000. It may be way less than that. It could be 2,000, it could be 200, for example, or 20. And then you choose the preferred format to send a link to your inbox, and that'll be valid for up to 7 days. And you can click on that to extract and download the metadata and import into your preferred software. Okay, so that functionality is there. Again, if you have this set up but you don't see that feature, it needs to be switched on our end. So please contact your local EBSCO account representative for that if you need that information. Okay. Also to know, as well as deleting, of course, editing the search strings, you can also download the search from here. By the way, you can go in and download. Okay, and a choice of format. So if we leave it on PDF, go to download, save that file, and just to open it up so you can see what it looks like. And I'll continue there. Oh, this is all new to me. So we also updated this. So let me just go back. Oh, that's obviously updated. That's my original. Actually, I think this is the search, actually. Yeah, so this is the search, the PDF search. Okay, what it looks like. This is going to be tidied up, by the way. So there's some changes taking place to enhance this as well. So there'll be more to come on that. So it will be displayed, I mean, differently than this, but this is as it currently stands. Okay, so again, you can download the search here from there. Okay, just come to the time here. I want to make sure I cover everything I need to cover for this session. We'll just see a couple more questions here. For Caitlin, I see that the combine option now adds brackets S7 or S8. If adding rows together manually, do you need the brackets? Probably you would. I think if you had them manually, it probably would insert them in any case. I've not tried that, but I would just follow what you see on screen there. I mean, what is this? Sorry, I've got no, sorry, I just got an update from, anyway, it's appearing on my screen, not yours, thankfully. Okay, yeah, so I think it would insert them automatically. I've not tried that. So yeah, I know what you mean, because as you see, for example, on screen now, if I just select there, S2, S1, they're both enclosed in brackets. So I don't know if yeah, if I was to put in, for example, I'm just going to put this as an example, S1 or S2 as a search. I'm not sure how it's going to display. Let me just click search and see how that works. So in fact, it hasn't added brackets at all, parentheses. So again, you may want to just follow the syntax as it is here. Okay. So again, I'm not sure it's going to do the same thing. Probably not. I mean, there's filters applied here as well. So again, I would kind of mirror what it shows you. But it's a good observation. Okay, so John's just pointed out there's even an image option on references. So let me just check that now. So let me go back to my original search results. So that's S12. And we'll go to this article here. I don't know if that was where that was. Yeah, not in there. Was it on references? Was it to do with more like this? Let me go for this one again. I'm not sure if this was. If you could remind me, John, which page you were thinking of? Was it one, I don't know, in the result list? In the result list, okay. So, okay. In the list of references. Let's see. I'm not sure, did you mean, I'm not sure if you meant the cited by, right? Was it that one? One of these? I'll try and get the other one. There's more citations here. This one here. Yeah, I need to be probably a bit clearer as to where I need to look. I think I know what you mean, but these fields here, go into this article, I'm just going to look at another article here. Yeah, perhaps I need a bit clearer idea where to look, an image option and references. Yeah, I'm not too sure what you mean exactly. Yeah, probably, and by the way, this is item 16 here, studied by 28 articles. So again, this could be particularly relevant. It's a fairly recent article from November 2025. So obviously it's getting some attention here, being studied by 28 articles, other articles here. Yeah, John, if you could maybe give an indication where you saw that. I'm not too sure where I should be looking for that. Okay. Okay. So if you were to save articles, by the way, if I go to save folder, you'll see them stored here by default. So anything I save will be stored here. But in addition to that, because I've signed in with my personal EBSCO account, it's also going to append those to the previously saved records. And I don't know why it's, yeah. Try that again. It's been a bit slow today, this demonstration site. Okay, so it's got 715. Obviously, I didn't save 715 references in this session, but basically it's appended the saved records for this session to previously saved ones. Now, you can unsave them. So, for example, I can just select this page, so 50 results, click the unsave option, and they're gone from there, right? So that's, a page at a time, as it were. So you can remove records from the saved list as you need to. Okay, so again, you could do that for the next batch, etc. And I think you will be able to process a lot more records in due time, especially with the 500 figure that we've been quoted as well. Okay, so I'm conscious of the time. So again, we won't cover all the features elements that are available today in this session. The main focus was on searching, essentially. I will mention we do have the online help menu, which is available throughout. So if you go to the help menu on the left-hand column, this takes you to the quick start guide for the new interface. There is a tutorial there. There's also the FAQs there, and also various elements, searching, browsing, etc. So browsing, single mesh headings, again, in relation to the new user interface. There's plenty of support information available through that link there. If I come out and go back to my PowerPoint, then just to begin to wrap up here. So I had an extensive live demo for searching on the new interface. Again, highlighting some of the functionality of the search history. So you've got the search sets there, and obviously these are the 3 sets I work with to combine them in a final result set with various filters applied, which are also detailed in the search history and recorded. Of course, you now have the save ribbon to view results of each set, to save them, as it were. So you can save them to the search history or to the save folder within the dashboard. So you have those options available. And again, you can also select sets to download, save, or add to a project or delete. So again, the bulk action toolbar has been enhanced, especially with the option to save and also delete sets. And you can delete the entire search history now as well. In terms of records, I didn't show this specifically, but the tools are there within the tools or kebab menu with the cite tool, which allows you to copy the citation or export it as needed. And also, again, a reminder, we do have the MEDLINE shortcuts help sheet, which details the syntax you should be using for this interface. Of course, there's ongoing training support. We're seeking to enhance this as well. We have the recordings of past webinars. Again, we like to keep these updated because of the changes that are taking place. EBSCO Connect is the main support portal, of course, connect.ebsco.com. And also we have the EBSCO Academy, which features additional e-learning, videos, etc., in relation to the various products and services that EBSCO provides. So that's accessible through EBSCO Connect. And of course, we have the EBSCO Healthcare Training Resources portal that is specific to healthcare databases such as MEDLINE, CINEL, etc., or in relation to healthcare organizations or those that support nursing, medical students, and so on. So again, you have the training videos linked to from here, also upcoming training sessions and also support information. So again, there's more support materials available. I've included additional ones there. And in addition to that, we do have this page, again, worth linking to highlight recent and upcoming enhancements. There's more to come in the coming month as well for the interface. Okay, I know there's been a few more questions. I may need to get back to you post-session. I see Kirsten comments, very pleased to see some features available on Legacy UI have been added back in. Big relief is some that are very useful, such as displaying search history. Yes. Okay, that's great. So again, I may need to follow up post-session also with you regarding some of the questions as well to verify the definitive responses. So again, feel free to contact me at rcooks@ebsco.com as needed. And no doubt also we'll run another session next month with additional enhancements as they come to light. So there's more changing over the coming months. Again, things are moving forward, as it were. Okay, so happy to stop here and appreciate your time today. Thank you.